Hey, runners, welcome to the Forever Runner podcast. Today, I'm excited to have as a guest Darci Hawxhurst, creator of the Vibrant Woman Community. That's a paradigm shifting journey that puts women on the path to thriving by removing the root causes and stress and modern metabolic disease. So, I know Darcy from the Maftone Method Facebook group, where she's one of the admins and a contributor. But as a founding member of a certified Maffetone Method coaches, I know she has a lot to offer for us older runners. So welcome on, Darcy.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to be here.
Oh, this is great. So I'd like to just start off with uh, your kind of bold statement that I saw, and it goes like this: most of the problems associated with getting older have nothing to do with how long you've lived in your human body. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, that bold statement just comes from my very own lived truth that as a woman who's been here, 5 decades now, although who's counting because I consider myself ageless. And that's not because I think there's anything wrong with aging. I just think that our modern mainstream paradigm has us thinking about it all wrong. And I say that because here in my fifth decade, I'm in the best shape of my life, far healthier, far more vibrant, far more energetic, far more physically fit and creative and emotionally stable and sound and just thriving far more than I was 2 decades ago when I hit my biggest rock bottom burnout.
Yeah, you
And
have
so
quite an interesting little story of kind of what got you on this path. Can you kind of go through that?
I will. I'll give you the abbreviated version, knowing that anybody who wants the full, all the details can just stay tuned. I've got a memoir in the works, and I want to be sharing this story and all of its detail. But uh, I had a brain injured child that I almost lost to meningitis when she was 12 days old, and that was, pretty dramatic, a source of huge stress for me. When my daughter lived through the night and she lived through the next couple of weeks, they sent us home with a big bottle of phenobarbital and the recommendation to raise her like a normal child, which didn't happen, couldn't have happened. She was severely brain injured. And so the path that I was on with Haley really taught me that, well, number one, that I can trust my instincts because the prognoses that I was given for her outcomes, she was never supposed to be able to read, write, walk, the unquote normal child. And I just thought to myself, not only did I want her to live, I wanted her to be alive and well. And that possibility didn't seem to be on the table. So that was not okay with me. I spent the better part of the next 2 decades, just head down in the trenches, working the rehabilitation program that I had found that actually removes the root cause there, which was an injured brain. We know the word neuroplasticity now. I don't think many of us are really fully aware of the power of the brain to heal and change. So I did that. But on that journey that was making my daughter, who had been cerebral palsy and spastic and learning disabled, she was becoming, a successful student and a triathlete and a gymnast. So we were, that path was beginning to unfold for me. And I was realizing what the human body and brain are really capable of. Because here I was creating that. I mean, astounding, right?
Yeah,
Until
that's amazing.
I mean, it is. It's a great story. I love to tell that story, and it's a fun story to live until it wasn't. Doing all of that as a single mom, trying to wear all the hats, I burned myself out really hard, and it took me hitting rock bottom burnout. I mean, I just realized um, Haley had just had this amazing experience. She was featured as a gymnast at an like it was a world class event called the World Organization of Human Potential. And she was like the showcase. And she was at the peak of her journey. And I came back from that 2 week trip and collapsed into bed. My adrenals had failed. My thyroid was going down. I had no energy, no period in sight. My hair was falling out. I was covered head to toe in a painful, itchy rash. I mean, I was in the worst health of my life. And I had done this to myself with stress.
Wow.
So it occurred to me that if I didn't want to take the mainstream route with my own daughter, if I could dream bigger for her and actually find these solutions that were non-surgical, non-pharmaceutical, that actually worked, why couldn't I do the same for myself? So when I came nose to nose with these experts in their white coats and their lab tests, and they're pointing to me and saying, this is what we think you have, and these are the drugs we think you're going to need for the rest of your life to deal with this, I just had this resounding no, rise up from my very bones. And so I did. I just decided I was going to have to find the experts who were going to be able to help me learn what I needed to know about my body. And the truth is, I already had a lot of those tools because I had been working with the greatest minds on the planet, from functional medicine, to and nutrition, and all these people who were teaching me about my daughter's body and brain. Why not just apply it to myself? And little did I know that path, I just wanted to be better. People can relate because we all just want to feel a little better. But here's what I'm here to say, and I hope that this will be a beacon of hope for some people who think that just kind of feeling that things are supposed to go downhill a little somewhere in the middle of life. If that doesn't resonate with you, if that's not what you're hoping for yourself and your journey in your human body, I'm here to say, yeah, that's right. That instinct is right, because little did I know, taking steps in the direction toward feeling better, when you keep going, when you eat in a way that really works for your body, when you move in a way that really works for your body, when you lower your stress, when you get all of this dialed in, when you give up the no pain, no gain paradigm, right? When you really pay attention to yourself, your instincts, and this is coming from our bodies. The road back from burnout doesn't just stop at feeling a little better. If you stay the course, that road leads to the place I live now, which is where I call thriving. And it's a little scary, only because you look around and you think there are not that many of us over here,
Yeah.
folks like
Yeah.
you and I, right, that think we shouldn't have to decline just because we've been here for longer. It's time to give up that idea. There is more possible. And I think that's what we're here to talk about, right?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about this before we got on. Was that a lot of people, once they get over 50 into their 60s or 70s, they start not feeling so energetic. They might put on some pounds. If they're a runner, they might cut down on their running, or even stop running at all. And in a general sense, to everyone, well, yeah, that's okay. That's normal. This is supposed to happen. And I think what Darcy's saying is, wait a minute, no, it's not. I had a similar experience where, in my 50s and early 60s, I ended up being in some of the best shape of my life. And uh, it was just letting go of those limiting beliefs and sticking to what works that really made it for me. So Darcy, when you're dealing with women, in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, what do you feel that some of the mistakes that they're making or problems that they have?
Yeah, one of the things that we see a lot, right, is this idea that we should slow down, or that we need to be careful, that we, for some reason, my grandmother was about my age when she stopped being active and hurt her back. And so again, we're up against all of these myths, myths that not moving our body is somehow better for it than moving. And I think that there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, one of them is that the culture also teaches a lot of really toxic beliefs about diet and exercise, what's good or what's bad. And one of the reasons that people have so many injuries by the time they get older is because they've either been too sedentary, which will cause us to be more prone to injury when we do move, or they have been moving. And, I tend not to use the word exercise in my program because I think so many people, there's nothing wrong with the word itself, except that, all of the propaganda that's gone with it for so long. A lot of people think that to exercise, if you're not exhausted and sore and miserable, but that you haven't done any good for your body, when
Right,
actually the opposite is true, right?
right. Yeah, that's a big misnomer.
So, so what happens, I think, with men and women is that by the time we get here to our middle age, um, we don't have a solid understanding of what the body has been trying to say to us. Have you ever played that game of hot and cold? We used to play it as kids. So you put something, and so there's an object like a toy car, and somebody hides it on a shelf, maybe behind a picture frame, and the rest of us come in, and the person who's going to find that car is going to be the winner. So we're all moving around the room, and the person's saying, hot, 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 meaning you're getting closer, or cold, 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 you're going the wrong way. And so we could sort of determine our actions, our decisions based on that feedback. And the truth is, the body is the same way. And so those hotter, hotter, hotter messages, like you're getting warmer, you're doing well, you're on the right track, those should all feel good. And the colder, 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 in other words, stop, 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 don't go that direction, those things all feel bad. And somewhere along the line, we have just been conditioned to stop paying attention to our body's signals. So we got rewards and praise from a coach, when we were the fastest runner, even though we had knee pain the whole time, right? And then we wonder why we've got all of these injuries by middle age that do slow us down. And then there's the whole diet factor. I mean, we're causing stress and inflammation through what we're eating. We're eating things that are so processed and carbohydrate dense that we're actually not providing much nutrition to the body at all. So it has no tools to heal and repair itself with.
So,
So you combine those, and then we land here in middle age and say, what? I feel all messed up, and you're right. But there's another way. And to move and to eat and to to take care of the body really is the natural way. It's the instinctive way. And when we get back to those instincts, our bodies are resilient. There are trillions of new cells made all the time. Stem cells are easily taught a new function. They can become your new liver cells, your new kidney cells, your new neurons, so the point is the body is always doing its best to heal and repair and become its best self, which means healthy and not ill and not injured. And that's easy to do when we learn to pay attention more to it than to what is being sold on TV and in the culture.
so
So
what would how would if someone kind of caught on to this whole idea and thought, oh, well, maybe I can change. So what would where would they start? What would be a one thing they could start doing today that they would be able to see some sort of result? Because everyone nowadays they want that instant gratification, um, and I and as you know, a lot of the stuff that we teach, you know, takes time. But is there one or two quick little fixes people could do where they would notice a difference?
I think so. In my experience, there are a couple of things that are very, very powerful to change in the beginning, to see a difference. Yes. And I'll tell you, there's two, and I'll tell you what they are. After I tell you that I agree completely, people looking for a quick fix, here's what I like to say: consistency is that quick fix you're looking for.
Right.
There really is no quick fix, but the sooner you make some of your toxic changes, change away from toxic habits, the better you're going to feel faster. But knowing that consistency is the key. And so here's the first thing I recommend. We have to get rid of the sugar. And I don't say that because I'm mean. I don't say that because, I don't think that people should have love and celebrations. I say that because I think we have completely mixed up what love and celebrations truly are. And those should be ways to honor our bodies, not hurt them. There's not a single nutritional there's no nutrition in sugar. Refined sugar is what I'm talking about. I'm also talking about all of the foods that turn immediately into sugar in the bloodstream. And those are things that don't even have to taste sweet, but are made with, all of the refined processed grain-based flours, things like crackers and cookies and pretzels, things like pizza crust and bread and is sugar. And it turns immediately into sugar in the bloodstream, causing an insulin response, causing all of that to be converted to fat and stored, causing a cascade of inflammatory responses all throughout the body that will show up in your personal place of your weakest link. So whether that's the knee you injured back in high school, or whether that's your family genetic weak link, which is, your thyroid, or whatever that place is, that's not sound for you, that's where we're going to see the result of all of that. And that's why it looks like there's so many different diseases for people as they age, when the truth is we just have we have a breakdown in our body at its weakest point. So sugar.
I like your point about kind of using sugar as a celebration um, uh, event. And it's funny that you brought that up, because tonight we have our trail running club and it's pie night. So we're all bringing pies, because today's pie day. Uh, I'm bringing a shepherd pie. So, uh, because just eating a bunch of berry pies, apple pies, whatever, lemon meringue, whatever people are bringing, that isn't going to do anything for you. And there's always a different path you can take and still enjoy the moment. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, if I were invited to your event and my feelings are not hurt because I know we're not even in the same time zone. But if I were invited to something like that, I would be bringing a crustless pie. I call them bottomless pies because there, and like you said, there's always a way to participate in the cultural event without having to necessarily be all in for the toxic parts of it. There's no reason to avoid Thanksgiving, but I don't eat, the stuffing that makes me sick, right? Like, so there's ways that we all have to learn what works for us and how we can stay connected. And yeah, just we have to be the exception sometimes. So you're going to bring the shepherd's pie with you're going to have the protein and the meat in there. So good for you.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
because the other thing that'll happen, right? And so this is a trail runners club, right? So there's probably going to be a bunch of jokes about how far they have to run tomorrow to run off their pie. And this leads me to my next recommendation you asked for. So I recommend that people remove sugar and all the foods that turn to it. And I recommend that people actually spend a good 3 months doing what we call the MAF method base building period. And I invite people to walk for 3 months, to trade their running in for walking. Now, I can see the eyes rolling. I can hear them. I can hear those people rolling of apple pie, and I've got to run my pie off. But just stay with me for a minute. Let me explain why that running isn't going to run your pie off. Number one, we already know that when you take the bite of apple pie, both the crust that has sugar and wheat in it, plus the fruit and all that sugar load, that basically it's a carbohydrate bomb, right? So that carbohydrate load is going to enter the body's bloodstream, turn immediately into glucose. It will require an insulin response. If you are middle-aged, right, 40, 50, 60, in your 70s, you got that little pot belly going already, that fat storage pattern tells us that your cells aren't going to let the insulin bring that glucose in for energy anyway. You're probably already at least a little bit insulin resistant. And once that happens, that glucose cannot get into a cell for energy. So now this is why people feel like, oh, I've really lost my energy. Well, your body's lost the ability to bring energy into a cell. So you're not going to get very far without fuel into a cell. But that glucose is still there, and insulin is still going to do its job. It's going to convert all of that into fat and store it in the places where fat gets stored, which is maybe our cheeks, our abdomen, in between our organs, right? And all those places filling up and filling up, all the while the cell's starving for energy. So You feel lethargic, you don't feel very good. Maybe you force yourself to go running anyway because you want to run off that pie. Consider what happens when you run off that pie. If you're working at a heart rate that's too intense, you're actually activating your anaerobic system, which burns sugar for fuel, instead of your aerobic system, which would prefer to burn fat. So we're storing fat, we're storing sugar as fat, but the body can't access that fat because we're running in a way that burns sugar. But guess what? The sugar couldn't get into the cell. And so this is why you come away from that run needing more sugar. Sugar cravings, feeling a little hangry, feeling a little burned out, irritable, tired. Those are the kind of workouts you're exhausted afterwards. And rinse and repeat. This is the cycle so many people are on. And it's because, again, that's that no pain, no gain paradigm that we've been taught. And the whole while it not working. We're becoming less fit, overweight, more injured, more easily injured. We've got cognitive issues now. When you look at the research, what they're telling us about things like Alzheimer's and dementia, they're all being called type 3 diabetes now. We know it's the same metabolic syndrome. And so this is the problem. We are not eating in a way that burns fat instead of sugar. And we're not moving in a way that burns fat instead of sugar. And all of that adds to the stress, the already, chronic state of stress we have in our modern world. I mean, even your indoor lights at night are causing stress us for being able to burn fat. And so there we are. We have human cells that were designed to burn fat. And that's the longevity key. That's the thriving key. That's the health key, the immunity key. So what we really have to talk about then is shifting metabolic gears. And so I teach people, let's get the sugar out and let's just slow down and get you walking for a while. Why? Well, because working at that lower heart rate intensity combined with the more natural diet focused more on protein and fat as macronutrients instead of the carbohydrate dense diet that is being peddled everywhere. So if that's what you've been eating, there's no shame or blame. Like you're normal. It's normal in the modern world. It is not normal in terms of the evolution and design of your body's cells. And so if we can do those two things consistently, then we see people begin to have these shifts. And it's the kind of workout. Now, again, many people will be able to run at those lower heart rates, but it can take a little resetting time and it can take a little recalibration in terms of our thoughts because, yeah, nobody wants to be the weird one, the slow one.
Right.
Well, are you sure? But I say, are you sure? Aren't you the one? Or don't you want to be the thin one, the strong one, the healthy one, the one who gets finished with their workout feeling like $1 million, like they won the lottery on life because what a beautiful sky today, and you feel amazing in your body, and you have so much energy left, and you're not even tired, and you have so many wonderful things you want to do next. Like, do you want to feel that way? Or do you want to feel hangry and exhausted and grumpy? Like that is the body talking to us. When I say listen to your instincts, listen to your body, that's what I mean. We weren't meant to muscle through.
And it's I know you've probably seen it with your clients and I actually myself. I mean, I spent from my 50s to 60s, I was running, 60, 70 ultra marathons in the mountains. I mean, I was training hard, doing all the stuff you're supposed to be doing. And that whole time I was still carrying about 10 pounds of excess weight. And when I finally realized what I was doing wrong and did those two things you just mentioned, the interesting thing that happens is you're just going through the routine of eating right and exercising right, and then all of a sudden your pants don't fit. It isn't like a conscious effort. Like I'm dieting, I'm working hard to lose these pounds. You're just going about your day, and then suddenly your pants don't fit, and you've lost 10 pounds. And it's just an amazing process because, as Darcy said, it's kind of the natural way your body works. It just kind of takes care of all that for you. And then all of a sudden you end up without those food cravings. You have energy during the day. You can go out and tackle things a lot of people your age uh, don't want to do. They don't want to go up those stairs. So yeah, I totally agree with your two suggestions there. That's right on.
Yeah, and I think, there can be more, and for some of us, there should be more, but starting there can be so life-changing, right? And what a good problem to have. My pants are too big, right? What a good
Right.
problem to have. A woman just said almost the same thing to me the other day that you just said, like that you're not even trying to lose weight. A woman in my program, she just said, I don't even feel like I'm on a diet at all. And I said, because you're not, right? Sometimes we end up eating more. The body wants to be nourished. You know, we have this, again, this is a myth. I call myself just a myth buster. I just kind of walk around with a pin like I'm popping balloons. Like I just want to pop these myths, these beliefs, these limiting beliefs, as you said. This idea that to lose weight, you have to eat less. I mean, at some point for some of us, maybe there is a caloric deficit we want to work toward if we have specific goals. But oftentimes it's just this shifting of metabolic gears. Eat in a way that burns fat, not sugar, and move in a way that burns fat, not sugar. And I mean, do that consistently, and your body will have access to the stored fat that's on your body, and over time, whether that's a little time or a long time, depending on how much is there and how consistent you are, that's what's going to happen. I mean, water rolls downhill. That is what's going to happen. So I know there's a lot of people out there, myself included, back in the days when I was trying to lose weight and trying to get fit and not understanding my body's metabolism, where it feels like, from that place, there does have to be effort, but it's only because we're trying to push water uphill we don't understand. As soon as you can get these metabolic gears to shift, um, all the really hard effort goes out the window. And like you said, do we still have to be aware of like walking past the bakery or going out to eat with other people or going to a party? This is one of the things that I struggled with, and I hear a lot of other people, the women in my program definitely struggle with this in the beginning. But what you just said makes perfect sense. Once we get those metabolic gears shifted, and you're not moving in a way that's calling for more sugar, yeah, the cravings for it go away. I'm triggered, right?
Yeah,
But your body doesn't really want it. So it's easy to do. I tell people I really can eat anything that I want. But what I have to go on to explain is I don't want all that other stuff anymore. I don't want that stuff anymore. My body is in a different metabolic state now, and it's calling for the things that actually work for it. What I want is buttered broccoli tonight, not because I'm on a diet, because it tastes delicious. And clearly there's something in there that my body wants and needs because it's asking for it today. That's what I crave. And I think that's a good problem to have, is that the cravings I have now are in alignment with what works for me, as opposed to feeling like I have to fight my cravings because it's for things that I know I shouldn't have, but I'm compelled toward. And that's the other thing about this, is that so many people struggle. This is the root of food addiction. This is the root of all addiction, quite honestly. And that's a really hard place to be, you know?
so I wanted to just touch on one more time, really the true key behind all of this, which is consistency and um, being able to consistently do the things that you need to be doing, and holding yourself accountable for those things. Um, and the one reason that Darcy and I are out here is a lot of people kind of want to do these sort of things, but consistency is an issue, and they need someone as an accountability partner to kind of get them through this process because um, it probably, I'm not sure how long your program is, but you know, just to learn the things that you need to do, that takes 2 or 3 months. And then I try and tell people, think of it as a 3-year project,
Mm,
after that,
okay.
because your goal is going to be out there, and you got to keep that consistency going until it becomes habit, and then you don't think about it anymore. It's just that's the way you are, and then
Mm.
you can enjoy all the benefits decades from now when you get older. So does that make sense to you, Darcy? Or
Oh, I really resonate with that. I love what you said. 3-year project. Yeah, I like to say, think of it as the beginning of the rest of your life. And when I invite women into my program, we call it a journey. Yeah, you can learn a few things, and I think that learning is so important. But there's a difference between learning and living. And even, because consistency is important, but let me just say this too. It's real normal. So, for example, what I teach is called finding your carbohydrate tolerance. And CI, or carbohydrate intolerance, that's a term coined by my coach and mentor, Dr. Phil Maffetone, who is the founder of the MAF method that we both are talking about here. So finding your body's carbohydrate tolerance is not like a once and done, just like the other piece, the other component here is finding your sweet spot for exercising, for fat burning exercise. I mean, that's going to be a heart rate intensity. There's a formula for it. We could do 180 minus your age, um, plus or minus another 5 or 10, depending on your progress. If you have had illness or injury, some of those markers of overtraining and stress that we need to adjust for. We can find all that. But again, that just knowing that doesn't give you the same experience as living it. And I agree with you completely. I think it is so important to have a coach or a mentor or a community, a place where you can experiment with these these theories. This is the theory part of it has to be matched with the practice, which is you out there with your shoes on, come rain or shine, or and you at the grocery store and in your kitchen, regardless of, a holiday or, a sleepless night. Like, what are we going to do when times get tough? Because there's a lot of momentum to those old habits, and there's a lot of peer pressure around us to just go ahead and eat the cake, or, and I mean, that's like a battle cry for women's empowerment. Like, life's too short, eat the cake. Like, what? Maybe that's why life's so short for so many people. Like,
right.
that's, I don't equate that as, that doesn't feel empowering to me. That feels dismissive of what's truly important, which is that we learn to love ourselves in a way that leads to good, thriving health, and that it is possible. I think that's why these kind of conversations are so important, because we're here to say, now, if you've wondered, yes, it is possible. Yes, you should try, because yes, it is possible, you know? Oh yeah, it's a 3-year, I love that 3-year plan. I mean, here's the other thing. I teach this idea of carbohydrate tolerance. And what that means is, yeah, you've got to go low carb for at least 2 weeks. We do a 2-week carb test. In fact, I offer it a couple times a year in a group. So I think we talked about maybe putting the link up in the show notes. So there might be a link
Yeah,
available
sure.
to come sign up for the wait list. If you want to do the next carb challenge and get some support, you can get on the wait list once and done. And it's not a diet, and it's not about, yes, there's a restriction phase of that where you have to go low enough carb to not have an insulin response. Like, that's what we're trying to do, is get the static out of the system so we can listen to what your body really needs to thrive. We want to get it into a fat burning state so you can feel how good that feels. So you have something to compare it to. So the next time you eat the cupcake, if that works for you or not. And then you get to decide, right? This is not about cupcakes are bad. This is about, does it work for you? Or do you get a headache and, inflammation? And, so people get to decide, but they don't have a baseline yet. So I teach this part of it, this the carb challenge phase. And the reason that's so important is because it's not going to be a once and done. There's going to be a temptation. There's going to be a birthday party. There's going to be a vacation. There's going to be just, you, whatever, and trying things and realizing, whoops, I'm over my carb tolerance again. How do I know? I'm noticing the way my body feels. And that is no small task. And that is not, it's something that really is a journey. It's just like any other relationship. Relationships thrive on honest, open communication. But so many of us haven't learned what that means to really listen to your body.
Yeah,
And
and
so if you want,
I think like what you're saying, the carb challenge is this one little step. I mean, it's a huge step for a lot of people, but um, there everything that you do affects everything else, and uh, there's all these other layers uh, that that you need to delve into that make a lot of sense once you get over the one hump, then all of a sudden all these other possibilities are available, and that's kind of what your programs, your what is it, the Vibrant
vibrant woman.
Woman
Mhm.
program is, it isn't just weight loss, it isn't just movement. There's all these other aspects that you can delve into. um, so so I think we're at the point where I hope everyone kind of got the point of what Darcy was making, and I totally agree with. And uh, like she said, um, Darcy will have a challenge coming up if you want to try to get started on this journey, and we'll put a link in the show notes for that. And then also uh, for her Vibrant Woman community, we'll put a link into that. You might want to just go ahead and get on a call with Darcy and find out a little bit more about that program, because if you're a woman in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, and she does talk to men too, um, uh, this could be a great opportunity for you to turn things around and enjoy a whole different type of life as you get older. So, anything else you want to say to finish off?
No, I mean, yes, always. But because, I think the reason that I do this I mean, yes, I work with private clients of all genders. And my program is the Vibrant Woman program because from my own experience through my own burnout and the hormone imbalance that came from there, and then, watching my peers, other women struggle through the hormonal changes of midlife and what we call, the menopause years, and just how much suffering is normalized for women during those years that does not have to be the case. And so, yeah, it was a program just born out of my heart to want to address this and teach people what I know now about what can be done, that we do not have to settle for that steady decline, for the cortisol belly, for the lack of energy, for the brain fog. All of those things are the body trying to tell us something. And when we learn to listen in and we make these adjustments and we get that metabolism back into the fat burning state it was intended to be, when you treat the root cause, the symptoms go away. And that's my message today, is that you're probably dealing with some symptoms. And if we could let them point us to the root cause, then we can make a difference. So I hope that gives people a sense of love and respect for their bodies, because your body's doing the best that it can with what it's been given. And what I mean by that is the way we've learned to feed it, to nourish it, to move it, to rest it. And some of us are just a little, I think this is not personal, it's just the culture. We've gotten a little off track. So I
Okay.
think people like you and I'm here to say, hey, come on back, come on
Right,
back. Let's come on
right.
back to your body's instincts, and wait till you just see how much better you can feel when you get that shifted. So happy to help people take that fork in the road. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Mm.
great. Well, thanks so much, Darcy, for coming on board. And we'll be seeing you in the Facebook group over there in the Maftone Facebook group. And like I said, check out the links in the description if you want to contact Darcy. And thanks again, everyone. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much.